I was on an unfamiliar, desolate highway, trying to make a last-minute drive across the states to get to my brother's remote home in northern Utah. I'd gotten the dates of some of our plans mixed up and kind of forced myself to have to drive through the night because of my mistake. The whole thing was a mess and had me tired and stressed out. And because of it, I didn't notice when my GPS told me to turn off the road that I'd been on for 100 miles and to exit. It wasn't until after I'd missed it that I immediately realized my mistake. Wasn't anything I could do but keep driving and turn around somewhere up ahead, or see if the GPS would switch the directions around. After a minute, I noticed it was still loading on the rerouting screen, so I assumed I just needed to turn around. It was unlikely this desolate area had any alternate routes anyway. But as I kept driving, I couldn't find any way to turn around. The road just kept going. At one point, about a mile past the exit, I passed a car on the shoulder with their hazards on. Looked like your average black sedan, which I just assumed was also probably kinda lost in figuring out where to go. I slowed down a bit after passing them just to make sure I didn't pass a turnaround spot. From then on, the road very quickly merged into one lane and became significantly more narrow, with the woods closing in. It no longer felt like a highway. It felt like some lost continuation of the road that was abandoned. Whatever it really was, I knew I definitely should not be there. So I pulled over just to think things through and figure out how to turn around. The GPS was completely stuck on this loading screen, and my phone wouldn't load anything either. I looked out my windows, but it was too dark and there were no streetlights, so I had to get out just to look around. On both sides of the road were very dense, clearly uninhabited forest. I couldn't even see the other side of the highway that went in the other direction. It was just woods, which meant that at some point the other side split off, and I had no way to know how far back that was, or how far ahead I had to go before they came back together and had a way for me to turn around. I really didn't like being in that spot though, surrounded by woods on a strange, vacant stretch of road. I did think for a moment about just going back the way I came, essentially driving the wrong way on the road, all the way back to the exit, but it felt very wrong and unsafe, and I'd driven a fairly long way down the road already, so it wouldn't be just a quick drive. I decided against it, thinking the two roads up ahead had to connect at some point. Best bet was to keep driving, and surely there had to be a turnaround. Before I got back into my car to leave, I looked back the way I came and saw a figure walking in the road. He was walking toward me and was still far away. I thought it was likely the person that I saw pulled over with their hazards on, but also thought it was strange he had left his vehicle and was walking down the road in this direction. I got back in and started to continue driving. The road got rougher the further I went, until I'd say a half mile from where I stopped, the road suddenly ended. There was a roadblock fence across the pavement, blocking off the rest of the road. I got out to get a better look, and from the looks of it, it didn't seem to go on any further. At least not paved. Seemed like it might have continued into a gravel road, but it was hard to say because it was so dark out. Although I did see something else out there. I didn't notice it right away. It wasn't until my eyes were more adjusted that I saw this figure standing out by the trees. It was so unexpected and strange that I didn't even believe it was a figure at first, and that it had to be some way the shadows were playing tricks with me. But over the next few seconds, my eyes started getting wider, and I got more and more of this dreading feeling that it really was a figure standing out there. He wasn't moving and seemed to be just looking back at me. I took a few slow steps back, then turned to get into my car, and literally jumped when I was face to face with a man standing right behind me. It was the guy I saw walking down the road earlier. He had a short, dense beard and a buzz cut with a hood over his head. I never even heard him approaching. I stared at him wide-eyed for several long seconds. "Road's closed. You can't get out this way, ma'am." I almost whispered sorry, not able to hide my fear. His eyes shifted over my shoulder at the woods, then back to me. "You okay? You seem shaken up." He said it in a strangely friendly tone, almost like we were buddies or something. I nodded my head and apologized again, saying I just thought I'd seen something out there, but that I was probably just tired. His face stiffened, and he tilted his head down a bit to almost force me to make eye contact with him. "What is it you think you saw?" I realized my mistake the moment he said that, just from his deep, condescending voice and the way he asked me. I stuttered nothing in a mumbled whisper and quickly opened my door and got in the car. The man stayed where he was for a moment, then approached the window as I got my keys out and started the car. I didn't stay long enough for anything else to happen. I backed out, did a really fast 3-point turn, and sped down the road. A few minutes later, I passed by that car with the hazards on again, then finally got to the exit and drove away from there. I don't know for sure what I ran into out there, but I have a really bad feeling about whatever was going on in those woods. And I know if I stayed or told the man what I'd seen, I probably would have gotten answers, but not in a good way.